Hey everyone, I've noticed that many of you are enjoying the videos, but most of you haven't subscribed yet. We're super close to hitting 1,000 subscribers, and your support could help us reach that milestone. If you're enjoying the content, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really makes a huge difference and helps us keep creating more awesome content. Thank you so much for watching and supporting. There's a point in life when everything feels just right. A moment so mundane, so familiar, you don't notice how easily it all could fall apart. That's where I was, a quiet Thursday afternoon, sitting at my desk at work, shuffling through emails, sipping coffee that had long gone cold. I wasn't thinking about anything significant, not even Melissa, just existing. But something was off, lurking just below the surface. A strange tension that I couldn't quite name. It had been creeping in slowly, little by little, until now, it felt like the air itself had grown heavier. Melissa's been on my mind more than usual lately. There's been this shift, subtle but undeniable, like the way she answers her phone, quieter, more hurried, or how she used to send me quick texts throughout the day, little things like miss you or can't wait to see you tonight. Now nothing. And when she does respond, it's just a single word, busy. That's her favorite one these days. She's been busy a lot. I shake off the thought. Work's been demanding for both of us. Melissa's job at the marketing firm has always required long hours, so it's easy to brush away any lingering doubt. But the knot in my stomach tightens every time I think about it, a feeling I can't quite explain. I tell myself it's nothing. It has to be nothing. A knock on my office door snaps me out of my thoughts. Hey man, we're all heading out for drinks later. You in? It's Todd from accounting, leaning against the doorframe with that easy grin he's always flashing. I nod without really thinking about it. Yeah, maybe. I'll let you know. Todd's grin falters for a second, but he shrugs and walks away. I realize I've been distant with people lately, not just with him, but everyone. It's like I'm half present. Maybe it's all in my head, I try to convince myself. Maybe it's the stress. But then I remember the other night when Melissa came home late again. I'd been on the couch, waiting up for her, though she didn't know that. She was talking softly on her phone, her voice hushed in a way that made the hair on my arms stand up. I couldn't make out the words, but I could feel the tone, intimate, secretive. When she saw me, she ended the call abruptly, her face momentarily startled before she masked it with a smile. Just work stuff, she had said. I'd smiled back, pretending to believe her, but my gut had twisted hard. And now that same nod is with me here, in my office, gnawing away at the back of my mind. Something's wrong. I can feel it like a physical weight. But I have nothing, no proof, no reason to accuse her of anything, just a growing void between us that wasn't there before. I check the clock. Only an hour left before I can head home. I spend the next 60 minutes mechanically answering emails, barely reading the words in front of me, just trying to distract myself. But every time I pause, I'm back to thinking about her. That nagging feeling won't go away. When I get home, the house is empty. It's quiet, too quiet. Melissa's car isn't in the driveway. I try calling her, but she doesn't pick up. It's almost 9. She's late again, work stuff, I tell myself, but the knot tightens. I head into the kitchen and pour myself a drink, trying to relax, but every creak in the house, every distant sound from the street makes my muscles tense. I sit on the couch, my phone in my hand, the clock ticking louder with each passing minute. When she finally walks through the door, it's almost 10. She's smiling, but it's forced, tight around the edges. Hey, she says, dropping her bag on the counter. Sorry, I had a late meeting. I study her face for a second too long, searching for something. Guilt, maybe? But she's good. Too good. I force a smile. Everything all right? Yeah, she says, not really meeting my eyes. Just a busy day. There's that word again. Busy. I swallow the lump in my throat and nod, turning back to the TV, pretending I don't notice the tension in her voice. Pretending it's all fine. But I'm watching her from the corner of my eye as she moves around the kitchen, her phone still in her hand, her eyes flicking down to it every few seconds. She's hiding something. I can feel it. As the days go by, it's the little things that start adding up. She's always on her phone, more than usual. Always checking messages, smiling at them, but not in a way she used to smile at me. She laughs sometimes too, at something on the screen. When I ask her about it, she brushes it off. Just a funny meme, she'll say. But I see the way she angles her phone away from me, like she doesn't want me to see. Then there are the nights. She used to sleep curled up next to me, close, her arm draped over my chest. Now she turns her back to me. There's a cold space between us, and I lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if it's all in my head. But it's not. I know it's not. Every day, that weight in my chest grows heavier. Tonight, I hear her phone buzz again from the nightstand as she brushes her teeth. It's a constant hum now, one I can't tune out anymore. I sit up in bed, staring at the glowing screen. Her messages are always locked, but tonight, there's no password. My heart pounds in my ears, a part of me screaming to just leave it alone. But my hand moves on its own, picking up the phone. The screen is still on, a message from someone named Daniel lighting it up. I miss you. It's like a punch to the gut, and my hand tightens around the phone. My mouth goes dry as I swipe up, and the thread of messages unravels in front of me. They're graphic, intimate, the kind of things you say to someone when you've been more than just friends. I read through each one, feeling my chest tighten with every word. She talks about meeting him, about their plans. She tells him how much she loves him. I scroll further. There are pictures too, not just of her, but of him, a man I've never met, someone she's been seeing behind my back. It's been going on for months, maybe longer. I stare at the phone, my hands shaking. The knot in my stomach is gone, replaced by something colder, sharper. I should be angry, furious even, but all I feel is a creeping numbness spreading through my body. She's been cheating. The woman I've built my life with, the woman I trusted. I put the phone down carefully, like it's something fragile. I can hear her in the bathroom, the water still running. I sit there staring at the wall, my mind racing but feeling eerily calm. There's a part of me that wants to storm in there, confront her, make her explain herself. But that would be too easy, too predictable. No, I'm not going to react. Not yet. I close my eyes, forcing myself to breathe. The betrayal is a weight in my chest, pressing down, suffocating me. But something else is growing there too, something dark and cold. It's the realization that nothing will ever be the same again. She thinks she's outsmarted me, that I'll never figure it out. She thinks I'm weak, that I'll let this slide. She's wrong. When she comes to bed a few minutes later, I pretend to be asleep. She slips in beside me, the same cold distance between us, her back turned. I listen to her breathing, slow and steady, as if she hasn't just shattered everything we built together. But I'm not broken. I'm not the man she thinks I am. I'll make her pay for this. The thought settles in, solidifying in the back of my mind. Revenge isn't just an option anymore. It's a necessity. And I'm going to make sure she never sees it coming. The next morning, the house is quiet. Melissa is already gone by the time I wake up. The empty space next to me in the bed feels colder than usual. I lie there for a few minutes, staring at the ceiling, replaying last night over and over in my head. My mind spins with every detail. Her smile when she walked in, the way she angled her phone away from me, the messages. Daniel. I can see the name flashing on her screen like a beacon. I wonder how many times he's come up, how many times I didn't notice. I swing my legs over the side of the bed and sit there, feeling the weight settle in my chest. Today's different. I'm not going to confront her. Not yet. But something inside me has shifted. I know the truth now, and once you know, there's no going back. The lies she's been feeding me, the cold shoulder, the distance, it all makes sense now. I was the fool, the one who was too trusting, too blind, but not anymore. I head into the kitchen, brew a pot of coffee, and sit at the table. I've got the day off, which leaves me too much time to think. I sip the coffee slowly, my eyes unfocused, thinking about what to do next. It's tempting to call her, to scream into the phone, demand answers. But what would that accomplish? She'd lie. She'd spin another story, tell me what she thinks I want to hear. That's how it works with people like her. They manipulate, they twist the truth until you're questioning yourself. No, I'm not giving her that power. I need to be smarter. I open my laptop and stare at the screen. Normally, I check work emails or scroll through the news, but not today. Today, I start paying attention. I start investigating. The first thing I do is pull up her Facebook. It's a waste of time, really. Melissa isn't stupid enough to leave anything there. Her posts are generic, the usual smiling photos of the two of us, holiday shots, a few pictures from work events. Nothing out of the ordinary. But it's not the public stuff I'm interested in. It's the gaps, the silence. I scroll back through the months, back to when things started to feel different. I notice a pattern. Fewer photos of us, fewer check-ins. When she used to tag me in everything, suddenly, there are weeks where I'm absent. No dinner shots, no weekend photos. It's subtle, but once I see it, I can't unsee it. I shut the laptop, my pulse steady, my mind already racing. It's not enough. Not yet. I need to watch her. Pay closer attention. The next few days, I start taking mental notes. The way she gets ready in the mornings, her routine's so well practiced that she could do it blindfolded. She doesn't look at me anymore when she leaves. Her kisses feel obligatory, quick. But now, I'm noticing something new. It's small, but it's there. The way she checks her phone right before she heads out, the way her expression changes when she reads a text. It's like she's preparing for something, someone. And when she comes home, it's the same. I watch her from the corner of my eye. I don't ask questions, don't give her any reason to suspect that I know. I listen to her phone buzzing on the counter while she cooks dinner. She checks it quickly, turning her back to me. The way she smiles at the screen makes me sick. At night, I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling while she sleeps beside me, wondering if she's thinking of him. I imagine their conversations, the things they've said to each other. It plays over in my head like a broken record, and the more I think about it, the angrier I get. The anger festers inside me, building, simmering just beneath the surface. But I don't let it out. Not yet. I'm biding my time. I keep playing the role. The patient, loving husband who doesn't suspect a thing. I ask her about work, about her day, about her friends. She answers like she always has, smooth, confident, but there's something new in her tone now, a hint of irritation, like she's bored with me, like she's grown tired of playing her part. It's all part of the act. She thinks she's won, that she's outsmarted me, but I'm watching, and I'm learning. It's a Friday evening when everything comes crashing down. Melissa is in the shower, the sound of water muffling everything else. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at her phone on the nightstand. My heart pounds in my chest, but my hands are steady. It's unlocked. She never used to leave it unlocked. My fingers move on their own, swiping through the messages until I find the name again, Daniel. I don't hesitate this time. I open the thread, my eyes scanning the texts, the photos, the plans they've made. They talk about where they've met, hotels. Weekends when she said she was visiting her sister. Their last meeting was just 2 days ago. I feel the bile rise in my throat, but I keep reading. It's more than just an affair. It's not just physical. They've been in love, or at least that's what they've convinced themselves of. I scroll further, looking for anything, any proof that it's been going on longer than I think. Every message is a knife twisting deeper, confirming what I already knew. This isn't a one-time mistake. This is betrayal, pure and simple. When I hear the water turn off, I drop the phone back on the nightstand and sit there, frozen. My mind is racing, my body numb. I don't move as she comes into the bedroom, towel wrapped around her, hair wet and dripping. She smiles at me, just a casual smile, as if nothing is wrong, as if she hasn't just spent the last few months lying to my face. "You okay?" she asks, drying her hair with a second towel. Her voice is light, playful even, like she's completely unaware of the storm brewing inside me. I nod, forcing a smile. "Yeah, just thinking." She raises an eyebrow, amused. "About what?" "Nothing important," I say. "Just work stuff." She doesn't press, doesn't push further. That's how little she cares. She's already moved on in her mind. Daniel has become her world, and I'm just a prop, a background character in a life she's already half abandoned. It's almost laughable how she's written me off, how she underestimates me. But I'm done being the fool. When she goes to bed that night, I sit on the couch in the living room, staring into the darkness, my thoughts churning. The weight of her betrayal is like a physical presence, pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. But the longer I sit there, the more that weight transforms into something else, clarity. The fog lifts and I know what I need to do. I'm not going to confront her. I'm not going to give her the satisfaction of an argument, of making me the bad guy. That's what she wants. An excuse to leave, to paint herself as the victim. No, I'm not giving her that. I'm going to be smarter. I'm going to make her regret every decision she's made. The next morning, I'm up early. Melissa is still asleep when I leave the house. I drive around aimlessly for a while, thinking, planning. I stop at a cafe, grab a coffee, and sit by the window, staring at the people walking by. They look so normal, so unaware of the turmoil raging inside me. I envy them. I take out my phone and start scrolling through contacts. There are people I haven't spoken to in years, old friends, acquaintances from work, people who owe me favors. I start making a list, mentally checking off who I can trust, who can help me without asking too many questions. I'm not sure exactly what I need yet, but I know I'll need help. I can't do this alone. When I get home, Melissa is already up, sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open. She glances up at me as I walk in, but doesn't say anything. There's a distance between us, a void that I no longer feel the need to bridge. Let her stay in her bubble of lies. I have my own plans now. I spend the rest of the weekend playing my role, smiling, pretending everything is fine. But inside, I'm making moves, gathering information, piecing together the puzzle of her affair. I track her phone when she goes out, noting the places she visits, the time she spends away from home. I watch her closely, every word, every glance, every text. She doesn't notice the change in me. She's too wrapped up in her new life with Daniel to see that I'm watching her every move. By Sunday evening, I've collected enough. I know where she goes, who she sees, how she spends her time when she's not with me. And now, I'm ready to act. I sit at the dining room table that night, staring at the blank page in front of me, my mind racing with possibilities. This isn't just about revenge anymore. This is about reclaiming control, taking back what's mine. I can't let her walk all over me. I won't be the man she laughs about behind closed doors. No, I'm going to make sure that when this is all over, she'll wish she'd never crossed me. The first seed of a plan begins to take root. It's slow, deliberate, but it's there. A way to dismantle her life piece by piece, to tear down everything she's built without her even realizing it. And I know one thing for certain, she won't see it coming. The days after my discovery blur together in a fog of rehearsed normality. I get up, I go to work, I come home. But behind the surface, I'm shifting. There's no longer any room for the confusion or the pain that twisted in my chest after reading those messages. That's not who I am anymore. The man Melissa thought she married, the easygoing, steady one, the man who turned a blind eye to her distance and excuses, that man is gone. My mind is sharp, focused. I spend my hours at work making calls, reaching out to people I haven't spoken to in years. Old contacts, business acquaintances, anyone who can give me leverage. I'm discreet, vague about my questions, but I make sure I get what I need. Slowly, I begin to piece together a broader picture of Melissa's life without me. Where she goes, who she sees, when she sneaks off to meet Daniel. Everything she's been so careful to hide, I'm now peeling back layer by layer. By the time I return home each night, I know more than she realizes. But I act the part perfectly, affectionate, distant when necessary. I slip into the routine like nothing's changed. The more I play my role, the more I start to enjoy it. The power shifts, even if she doesn't know it yet. Then something happens I didn't expect. Tim, my younger brother, begins acting strange. He's been distant for weeks, only showing up for family dinners or the occasional beer, but his conversations have become clipped, careful. He avoids eye contact, cuts our conversations short. At first, I chalk it up to stress, or maybe a bad breakup. Tim's never been good at keeping his relationships intact. But now, with Melissa's betrayal festering in the back of my mind, His behavior sticks out like a sore thumb. I can't let it go. It's in the way he avoids talking about Melissa, how his eyes dart away when her name comes up. The more I think about it, the more pieces start falling into place. I remember a conversation months ago, a casual mention of Melissa visiting Tim at his office for lunch. At the time, I didn't think much of it. She has friends, colleagues, she's social like that. Now it feels wrong. It feels deliberate. The thought sits with me for a while. I don't want to believe it. I don't want to let the suspicion grow any more than it already has. But I've learned to trust my instincts. I've learned that ignoring the signs is how I got here in the first place. I need answers. That weekend, I tell Melissa I'm going to visit my parents out of town. It's a lie, of course, but it gives me a reason to leave the house and gives her the perfect opportunity to meet Daniel without arousing suspicion. She smiles at me, the same forced smile that she's been using for weeks, tells me to drive safe, and kisses me goodbye like it's the last thing she wants to do. I return the gesture and leave, heading straight for Tim's apartment. I've never been one to snoop, but things have changed. I wait outside his building, parked across the street, the engine idling. My heart pounds in my chest, though my hands are steady on the steering wheel. I keep thinking of all the times I'd brushed Tim's odd behavior aside, how I'd made excuses for him. He's my brother. There's supposed to be trust between us. But now, every casual interaction feels like a mask. After an hour of waiting, I spot him. Tim walks out of his building, head down, phone in hand. He crosses the street without even glancing up, heading straight for a small cafe down the block. There's nothing unusual about it on the surface, just a guy grabbing coffee on a Saturday. But my gut tells me this is something else. I follow him, keeping a safe distance, until he slips into the cafe. I park a few blocks away and walk in after him. Tim's at the counter, ordering, oblivious. I glance around, looking for anyone who might be meeting him, but it's just him, standing there like any other day. I'm about to turn and leave when my phone buzzes, a text from Melissa. "Miss you, can't wait to see you." My blood runs cold. The text isn't for me, it's meant for him. She must have clicked the wrong contact. The timing is too perfect to be a coincidence. And as I stand there staring at my phone, it all comes crashing down. It's not just Daniel, it's Tim. The breath leaves my lungs and I feel like I've been punched in the gut all over again. My brother, my own brother. I turn and leave the cafe before Tim can spot me. My vision blurs as I walk down the street, anger rising like bile in my throat. It was one thing when I thought Melissa was cheating on me with a stranger. But this is another level of betrayal. I sit in my car for a long time, the weight of it crushing me. Melissa, Daniel, and now Tim. It's almost laughable, the way they've all conspired against me, thinking I wouldn't find out, thinking I'd never put the pieces together. But they've underestimated me. They've played their hand, and now it's my turn. I make my way back home, my mind whirling with possibilities. The plan is already shifting in my head, adapting to this new revelation. It's no longer just about Melissa and Daniel, it's about taking down everyone who's crossed me. By the time I walk through the front door, I've calmed down. Melissa's in the kitchen, cooking dinner, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I smile at her, tell her the trip to my parents was fine. She smiles back, though her eyes are distant, already elsewhere. I watch her for a moment, wondering if she's thinking about Daniel or Tim or both. It doesn't matter. Soon enough, none of them will matter. That night, I lie awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with details. I think about all the times I've been overlooked, ignored, belittled by the people I trusted most. My family, my wife. It's not just the cheating that cuts deep, it's the mockery, the disrespect. They think I'm weak, they think I'll do nothing. But they're wrong. I'm done being the quiet one. I'm done playing the fool. I get out of bed and go into the living room, grabbing my laptop from the table. I spend the next few hours digging through financial records, emails, anything that might give me an edge. I start with Melissa's accounts, cross-referencing transactions with her work schedule, her trips, her supposed nights out with friends. It's not long before I find what I'm looking for. Siphoned funds, small but consistent withdrawals, payments to an account I've never seen before. It's not just her personal spending. She's been covering for Daniel and for Tim. I stare at the screen, my hands shaking. She's been funneling money out of our accounts for months, maybe longer. The betrayal is deeper than I thought, more calculated. They've been planning this for a while. But now, I know. I've got them all where I want them. By the time I close the laptop, the sun is starting to rise. Melissa is still asleep in the bedroom, blissfully unaware of the reckoning that's coming her way. I sit there in the early morning light, my mind sharp, clear. This isn't just about revenge anymore. This is about power. It's about control. I'm going to tear down everything they built. Piece by piece, I'm going to dismantle their lives until there's nothing left. But I'm not going to confront her yet. No, I'll play the long game. I'll let her think she's still in control, that I'm the same passive, trusting husband I've always been. I'll let them all believe they've won. And when the time is right, I'll strike. I smile to myself as I make my way back to bed. The plan is already in motion, and none of them see it coming. Melissa, Daniel, Tim, they've underestimated me for too long, but that's about to change. The next morning, I wake up feeling lighter, clearer than I've felt in weeks. I kiss Melissa goodbye as she heads off to work, watching as she pulls out of the driveway, her phone already buzzing in her hand. I know she's texting one of them, maybe both, it doesn't matter. I've already started taking back what's mine. The first step is simple, information. I reach out to my network again, making quiet inquiries about Daniel's job, his colleagues, his reputation. I gather intel, slowly building a picture of the man who thinks he's won my wife's heart. I learn his weaknesses, his debts, the skeletons in his closet. Then I start planting seeds, making subtle moves that will unravel his life from the inside. At the same time, I begin to distance myself from Tim. No more beers, no more family dinners. I let him feel the shift, let him wonder what's changed. But I say nothing. Not yet. When I'm ready, he'll know exactly why I've cut him off. And Melissa? She's too busy with her double life to notice the subtle ways I'm tightening the noose around her. She thinks she's in control, that I'm still the same oblivious husband I've always been. But with every move I make, I'm pulling the rug out from under her. It's only a matter of time before it all comes crashing down. It's time. I've played the role of the passive husband long enough. Each step of my plan has been methodically calculated, every detail designed to unravel Melissa's world without her ever realizing I'm the one pulling the strings. But now, the pieces are in place, and the game is about to shift. The first move is Melissa's job. She's been too comfortable, too confident that her life will continue as normal once she's done with me. I reach out to an old acquaintance, someone who works in corporate law. A few subtle suggestions about the misuse of company resources, a handful of anonymous emails forwarded to the right department, and the gears begin to turn. I sit back and watch the fallout unfold. It's Wednesday morning when Melissa's world starts to crack. She leaves the house like she always does, breezing out the door with her bag slung over her shoulder, barely glancing in my direction. I tell her to have a good day, the words smooth and practiced, just like they always are. She smiles, distracted, already typing on her phone as she walks to her car. Probably texting Daniel, telling him how much she can't wait to see him later. I sip my coffee, staring out the window, knowing exactly what awaits her when she gets to work. By noon, I get the first hint that things are going according to plan. Melissa sends me a message, her words unusually terse. Busy day, call you later. She's rattled. Good. I've been quietly feeding her boss the evidence of her financial misdeeds for weeks now. Expenses that don't add up, trips that weren't work-related, money funneled through fake accounts I uncovered with little effort. It was all sitting there, just waiting to be exploited. All I had to do was give it a nudge. I picture her sitting at her desk, sweating as her boss pulls her aside for a private conversation. The same self-assurance that's been fueling her affair is probably slipping away now, piece by piece. And this is just the beginning. I wait. There's no rush. Let her squirm for a while. By evening, she walks in the door, a strained look on her face. I know she won't tell me what's wrong. She doesn't trust me with her real problems anymore. only with the facade of our marriage. But I see it in her eyes, the fear creeping in, the cracks forming. She forces a smile, kisses me on the cheek, and tells me she's going to take a shower. I nod, playing the supportive husband one last time. But inside, I'm already thinking about the next step. Daniel is next. I've been watching him, following his patterns, learning about his life. He's not as careful as Melissa. He has a wife, a family. They live in a nice suburban house not far from where I used to think my life was heading. He probably tells himself that what he's doing with Melissa is justified, something exciting, something he deserves, because life with his wife has grown boring. But I know men like him. They never think they'll get caught. The next day, I take the final piece of information I've gathered, photographs, messages, the proof of their affair, and package it neatly. I could have sent it anonymously, but where's the satisfaction in that? I want to see the fallout firsthand. That afternoon, I drive to Daniel's house. His wife, Sarah, answers the door, looking confused as I stand there, holding the envelope. "Hi, I'm sorry to just show up like this, but there's something you need to know about your husband." Her face changes instantly, suspicion giving way to dread. I hand her the envelope, my expression calm, rehearsed. "I know this is going to be hard to read," I tell her, "but you deserve the truth." I walk away before she can ask any questions, leaving her to open the envelope, leaving her to see the pictures of Melissa and Daniel together. The texts exchanged between them, the receipts from hotels. It's all there, laid out in painful detail. By tonight, Daniel's marriage will be in ruins. I return home knowing I've set the next domino in motion. It's only a matter of time before Sarah confronts Daniel, before their entire life comes crashing down. I imagine the panic, the fights, the desperate explanations. Daniel will scramble to salvage whatever remains of his marriage, but it'll be too late. Sarah won't forgive him. She won't forget. The final piece of my plan is Tim. I haven't spoken to him in weeks, letting the distance between us grow, letting him wonder what's going on. He's been trying to reach out, sending texts, leaving voicemails, but I've ignored them all. I can only imagine the tension building inside him. Guilt, fear, maybe even a hint of suspicion. He knows something's off. He knows he's next, but he doesn't know when. Tonight, I'll make sure he understands. It's Friday evening when I send the text. "Meet me at Mom and Dad's place, 7 p.m. We need to talk." I don't give him a reason. I don't need to. The silence that follows is enough. He responds almost immediately. "Yeah, see you there." I arrive at my parents' house early, the place dark and empty since they've been out of town for weeks. It's the perfect setting for what needs to happen. When Tim pulls into the driveway, I'm already sitting on the front steps waiting for him. He steps out of his car, looking nervous, hesitant. I haven't seen him like this in years. We've always been close, or at least that's what I used to believe. But now, standing there in the dim evening light, all I see is a stranger. "Hey," he says, stuffing his hands into his pockets, shifting his weight from foot to foot. "What's going on?" I stand, my heart steady, my voice calm. "We need to talk about Melissa." His face pales, the truth hitting him in an instant. I watch as the realization dawns on him, his eyes widening in panic. "I don't know what—" "Don't lie to me, Tim," I cut him off, my voice hard. I know about you and Melissa. I know everything." He opens his mouth to protest, but the words die before they can form. He knows there's no point. The silence stretches between us, heavy, suffocating. "How long?" I ask, my voice quiet, controlled. "How long has it been going on?" He stares at me, eyes wide, mouth trembling. He can't even look me in the eye. It wasn't supposed to happen, man, I swear. It just... How long, Tim?" He swallows hard, his shoulders slumping in defeat. 6 months. 6 months. My own brother. The rage inside me simmers, but I keep it contained, bottled up. I don't give him the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I turn away, walking back to the car, leaving him standing there in the driveway. "Wait," he calls after me, his voice pleading. "Please, man, I'm sorry." I never meant for any of this to happen. I stop, glancing back at him over my shoulder. Sorry doesn't cut it, Tim. You made your choice. I leave him there, his betrayal hanging in the air like a noose tightening around his neck. It's over. By the time I drive home, I know it's done. I've exposed Melissa's affair, destroyed Daniel's marriage, and now I've shattered the trust between me and my brother. One by one, I've torn their lives apart, left them to deal with the wreckage. When I walk through the front door, Melissa is sitting on the couch, her phone in her hand, a blank expression on her face. She looks up at me, her eyes wide with fear, guilt, and confusion. She knows something's wrong. She can feel the walls closing in. Daniel's wife called me, she says, her voice trembling. She knows. She said she's leaving him. I nod, stepping closer. And now you know what it feels like to lose everything. Her face crumples, tears welling up in her eyes. I'm sorry, she whispers. I'm so sorry, but I don't care about her apologies. Not anymore. I watch her break down, her sobs filling the room, but there's no satisfaction in it. There's only cold clarity. I've taken everything from her, from Daniel, from Tim, and now I walk away, leaving the ruins behind. There's just one final move left to play. There's one last move left to play. After everything, after all the betrayals, all the lies, and the chaos I've unleashed, there's still one loose end, Melissa. She's sitting on the couch, her face pale and streaked with tears. I've shattered her life, ripped apart the web of deceit she built with Daniel, exposed the ugly truth of her affair to everyone who matters. But I'm not finished. Not yet. Her breakdown earlier was just the beginning. She's sorry. She's ashamed. I can see it in the way she looks at me, eyes wide with desperation, hoping for some glimmer of forgiveness. But she doesn't understand. I don't want her apologies. I don't want her guilt. I want her destroyed. Melissa thought she could hide from me. She thought she could siphon money from our accounts, building a safety net for herself and Daniel, a way out when everything fell apart. What she doesn't know is that I've already unraveled it all. I've been tracking her financial moves for weeks now, every suspicious transfer, every deposit into her secret accounts. She thought she was clever, thought I was too naive to notice. But the moment I found out about Daniel, I dug deeper. It wasn't hard to find. The trail was sloppy, rushed. Maybe she thought I'd be too heartbroken to see clearly. Maybe she thought she was too smart for me to catch. But I did. While she sits there, sobbing into her hands, I make my way to the kitchen, grab my laptop, and pull up the banking information. I've waited long enough. Now it's time to pull the trigger. Melissa doesn't even notice as I sit at the table typing. The final financial transaction is swift, clean. I drain every cent from her hidden accounts. The money flows into an offshore account I set up weeks ago, one she has no access to, one she'll never trace. I leave nothing behind. When she checks those accounts tomorrow, they'll be empty. She'll have nothing. I imagine her face when she discovers it. The panic, the helplessness. She'll realize she's trapped alone with nowhere to turn. But I'm not done yet. The evidence I've gathered, financial records, her involvement with Daniel, everything I've collected that paints the full picture of her betrayal, it's all packaged neatly in a folder. I send it off to the authorities, a silent missile aimed at the heart of her new life. Melissa didn't just steal from me, she embezzled money from her job, siphoning funds to cover her personal expenses, trying to hide her tracks. And I've made sure there's enough evidence to bury her. There's no coming back from this, no smooth talking her way out of it. She'll face legal consequences. I've seen to that. It's not just revenge, it's a complete dismantling of her life. I close the laptop, my heart pounding in my chest, but it's not the adrenaline from earlier. It's something else. A calm, cold satisfaction that I've done it. I've won. Melissa glances up at me, her face crumpling into another sob. Please, she whispers, her voice hoarse. I'll fix this. I'll do anything to fix this. I look at her, really look at her, for the first time since this all started. The woman I thought I loved. The woman who laughed behind my back, who tore my life apart piece by piece, all for the thrill of something new. She's broken now, shattered. And the strange thing is, I don't feel what I thought I'd feel. There's no rush of triumph, no overwhelming sense of victory. I feel free, free of her, free of the lies, free of the version of myself that spent so long bending, breaking, trying to keep everything together while she dismantled it all behind my back. The man I used to be, the quiet, steady one who ignored all the warning signs, is gone. I'm someone else now. Someone who doesn't need to beg for her to stay. Someone who doesn't care if she leaves. I don't want you to fix anything, I say, my voice steady, calm. It's too late for that. She looks confused, like she doesn't understand what I mean, but it's simple. I stand up, grab my jacket from the back of the chair, and walk toward the door. "Where are you going?" she asks, panic rising in her voice. I don't bother answering. There's no point. The truth is, she doesn't matter anymore. None of them do. Daniel, Tim, Melissa. I've taken everything from them, just like they tried to take from me. I step out of the house, the cool night air washing over me, and head to the car. I drive for a while, letting the silence settle around me. The city passes by in a blur of streetlights and darkened windows, but I don't have a destination in mind. I just need to be away. I park by the lake, a place I used to come to think back when things were simpler. The water is calm, the moon reflecting off its surface like a mirror. I sit there for a long time, staring at the stillness, letting the events of the past few weeks sink in. It's over. The revenge, the planning, the meticulous steps I took to destroy their lives, it's all done. I've won. I've reclaimed control of everything they tried to take from me. But there's something hollow in the victory. For the first time in a while, I feel quiet. The weight that's been pressing down on me for months has lifted, but in its place is something else, something colder, emptier. I don't regret what I've done, not for a second. But I realize now that revenge doesn't give you back what you've lost. It doesn't fill the hole that betrayal carves out. It just ends. And maybe that's enough. I watch the water for a while longer before finally turning back toward the car. The road stretches out in front of me, open and empty, leading somewhere new. I'm not sure where I'll go next. I don't have a plan anymore. I don't need one. I'm free. The next morning, I wake up to a message from the bank confirming the transfers. Melissa's accounts are wiped clean. Later, I get an email from my lawyer detailing the legal action being taken against her. It's all in motion now. Irreversible. I sit at the kitchen table, sipping my coffee, feeling the calm settle over me like a blanket. The house is quiet. Melissa hasn't come out of the bedroom yet. She probably knows. Maybe she's already seen the empty accounts. Maybe she's already trying to figure out how to survive this. But it doesn't matter. Her life is ruined. There's a strange sense of closure in it. Not the kind I expected, not the fiery, triumphant kind, but a quiet, settled feeling. They thought they could destroy me. They thought they could take everything and leave me broken. But they were wrong. I step outside, feeling the crisp morning air on my face, and take a deep breath. For the first time in a long time, I feel lighter, like the weight of all their lies has finally lifted. I don't have to look over my shoulder anymore. I don't have to wonder when the next betrayal will come. I've severed every tie that bound me to them, every thread that connected me to that part of my life. And now I walk away from the ruins of their lives, from the wreckage of everything they tried to build on lies. I leave it all behind, buried in the past where it belongs. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know where this road will take me. But as I step into it, I realize one thing. I'm in control now. My past is gone, burned to ash, and what's left is mine, controlled, calculated, and completely free. In the days that follow, I start to realize something strange. The satisfaction I thought would come from watching their lives crumble never arrived. I had envisioned a rush of vindication, a high that would carry me through, but it never came. Instead, there's a stillness, a numb quiet that settled in like fog. I thought revenge would fill the emptiness they created, but I see now that it doesn't work that way. I haven't spoken to Melissa since that night. She's a ghost in her own house, moving quietly from room to room, careful to avoid me. I'm not even sure if she's aware of how deep the damage goes. Maybe she thinks she can recover. Maybe she's still holding out hope that things can be mended, that her life can be patched up somehow. But I know better. The legal action is already set in motion, the investigation into her embezzlement underway. Her job is gone, her accounts are wiped clean. Soon she'll have nothing. I've seen her looking at me out of the corner of her eye, waiting for some kind of acknowledgement, some sign that I'll soften. But I won't. What's done is done. Tim has stopped trying to contact me. After our last conversation at our parents' house, I imagine he's finally accepted that there's no coming back from this. The betrayal was too deep, too personal. Family is supposed to be your foundation, and when that cracks, the whole structure comes tumbling down. He knows it. I know it. We've severed something that can never be repaired. As for Daniel, I haven't heard anything, but I know his world has imploded. His wife, Sarah, left him. I saw the moving truck in front of their house a few days after I handed her the envelope. She didn't stick around to hear his excuses. Daniel was never as smart as he thought. I doubt he's even begun to comprehend how thoroughly I dismantled his life. Each of them is dealing with the aftermath in their own way, but I've removed myself from their chaos. Their lives are wrecked beyond repair, and I've stepped away from the ruins, untouched. I could have destroyed them in a more dramatic, more public way, but this was cleaner, more precise. I didn't need the spectacle, just the certainty that they'll never rise from the ashes I left behind. But now, standing on the other side of it all, I'm left with one unsettling truth. I'm not sure what's next. For months, every action I took, every thought I had, was driven by one thing: revenge. It consumed me, dictated every choice I made. Now that it's over, I'm not sure who I am anymore. The anger, the betrayal, they've been like fuel, keeping me moving forward. And now that the fire's out, I'm just here, empty, quiet. I don't feel guilt, and I don't feel regret. Not for what I did to Melissa or Tim or Daniel. They deserved everything they got. They stripped away my dignity, my trust, my sense of worth. They underestimated me, played me for a fool. They tried to break me, but I broke them instead. That's not something I'll apologize for, but I'm left wondering, what does it mean to win? I expected triumph, but instead, I feel like I'm standing in the wreckage of something larger than all of us. My life, once built around trust, love, and family, is gone. What I've been left with is something cold and detached, a void that revenge couldn't fill. I walk through the house now like a stranger, passing by the pictures on the walls, the reminders of a life I no longer recognize. The smiling photos from vacations, birthdays, holidays, they mean nothing now. They're relics of a time when I thought I understood the world, thought I knew the people in my life. I was wrong. I take the photos down one by one, tossing them into a box I'll never open again. There's no point in holding on to them. Those moments were lies, framed in glass and hanging on the walls like trophies. I pack them away, and with each one, I feel a little lighter. The silence in the house is deafening. Melissa hasn't left yet, but she will. She has to. There's nothing here for her anymore. The divorce papers are sitting in my office, waiting for her to sign them. I didn't need a lawyer to handle this part. Everything's already been decided. Once she signs, she'll be gone for good. No money, no assets, nothing but the wreckage of her choices. I wonder where she'll go, what she'll do, but the thought doesn't stay long. It's not my concern anymore. Whatever happens to her is her problem, not mine. I sit at the kitchen table one last time, staring out at the yard where we used to spend our weekends. The place feels different now, smaller somehow, as if the walls have closed in. The life we built here is just a memory now, one I don't care to keep. It's not grief that I feel, it's not even anger, it's something else. An acknowledgement, maybe, that this chapter is done. But the strangest thing is the peace that's settled over me. The stillness. It's not the peace I thought I'd feel. There's no joy in it, no sense of accomplishment. It's more like the calm after a storm, when everything has been destroyed and all that's left is the quiet aftermath. The dust has settled, and now it's just me standing in the ruins. I thought revenge would give me back the power I'd lost, and in a way, it has. I'm in control now. No one else. I've severed every tie to the people who betrayed me. I no longer care about their approval, their validation. I don't need their apologies, and I don't want their forgiveness. What I've learned through all of this is that real strength isn't about force or fury. It's about patience. It's about biding your time, waiting until the perfect moment to strike. And now that I've struck, I realize that I'm stronger than I've ever been. Colder, perhaps, more detached, but unbreakable. I didn't just survive their betrayal. I emerged from it transformed. The man I was before, the one who laughed easily, trusted too freely, loved without hesitation, that man is gone. I've become something else. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't even care. With Melissa, Tim, and Daniel, it wasn't about winning or losing. It was about taking back control, reclaiming what they tried to steal from me, my sense of self, my dignity, my power. And I have it now. In the end, they didn't take anything from me that I couldn't get back. What they did was reveal something about myself I hadn't known, that I'm capable of much more than I ever thought, that I'm not the passive, trusting fool they assumed I was. I'm something else now, something sharper. And as I step away from the wreckage, I realize that I don't miss any of it. My past is behind me, buried with the lives I ruined, the lies I exposed. There's nothing left for me there. I glance around the house one last time, then walk out the door, leaving it all behind. I don't know where I'm going, and for the first time, that doesn't scare me. The future is open, and it's mine. Controlled, calculated, free. As I drive away, I don't look back. The wreckage is behind me, and the road ahead is clear. I'm finally free.